And we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Metronome podcast. I just realized our first technical difficulty, Fiona's nameplate and Cleffa's nameplates are switched because I did not read that through right, but that's fine. Quick little fix there.
You got this.
That's okay.
So the accolades on the left side screen are Fiona's, even though it's next to Cleffa's video. But again, hello, welcome everybody. My name is Jessica Hinlow. This is our first ever episode. I'm here with my co-host Cleffa. Cleffa, if you want to say hello.
Hi everybody, I'm Curious Cleffa. Me and Jess do a lot of stuff together, so if you guys don't know me, then I don't know why.
So before we get into introducing our wonderful guest, just a couple of details. You can type !metronome for a little bit more info on the podcast. Type !Cleffa or !Fiona to get their personal links. They both do stream on Twitch. And they both have Twitter accounts. Crazy in our social media universe. But today we are joined by Fiona, who just won the women's tournament. It was an all-women's competition that was the size of a regional, and she took it all home. So, Fiona, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, thank you for being here.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to come on your podcast. I am Fiona Shimkevich, otherwise known as, I go online as YoshiandLugia. And I'm one of the few girls who actually play in Canada, believe it or not.
So, can you go ahead and tell us about how you got into competitive Pokemon in itself?
So, I actually started playing as a singles player back in 2011 when Black and White came out. And I enjoyed playing singles for a while. I knew about VGC in 2011, 2012, but I didn't know how to get to events back then. And I didn't really understand how to play doubles because I was more of a singles player. And then in 2015, I decided I'm gonna get into VGC once Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out. I was 15 at the time, so I was in the seniors division. And I didn't really get into an event until almost when 2015 was over. So I only went to 2 events and never was able to qualify for Worlds. But I took a break after 2016 because I personally didn't like the format. I didn't like all the restricteds, and I didn't like Smeargle with Dark Void.
Oh, that's weird goal.
Yeah, and once Sun and Moon came out, I wanted to get back into the game. I enjoyed all of the Tapus and the Ultra Beasts. I love their abilities and how they function in VGC, and I thought it would be very fun to play build a team around that.
Jess, what are you doing?
I messed up. Somebody said Cleffa's quiet, so I was trying to make Cleffa unquiet, and I messed up. Okay, there we should be back on that. Okay, now Cleffa's voice should be better. Sorry to interrupt you, Fiona. I wasn't trying to send. So I didn't know that you had been playing since you were in senior age. Was it easy to make friends when you jumped into the community, or was it hard at first?
So, it was, in the beginning, I didn't really have any friends. I just went to events with my dad. Then in 2016, I went to one event in 2016, and I didn't really talk to anybody there. But then when 2017 hit, I started to make friends. There was a lot. I was in a Facebook group actually, and I played through there, and found out there was actually a Canadian VGC community. So I started to recognize them at events, and we started to make friends in around January-ish, like halfway through 2017 basically, and then I got a group of friends.
That is awesome. Does it make it easier for you to play and come into a community like this when you are able to meet people?
I would say so. Like, personally, I think the friends are like a big part of why I continue to keep playing, to be honest, because then they make me want to go to events and like see some people and talk to them how they're doing or what they're coming up with their strategies. I actually got into a different community at some point. I did get into the Smash Brothers community, and I didn't personally find it that welcoming. Nobody really wanted to talk to me, and they were more focused on their own thing. But with VGC, the people I went to at events, they were like very interested in like learning about me, and it was very nice. Going to dinners after the events were like the best part for me.
I did see that you were also part of the Smash community, but I wasn't sure like how accepting they were, especially being a woman. And I hear very not great things about the Smash community for that type of a thing.
Yeah, I personally didn't. I was nervous about going there, and I wasn't doing well. I couldn't really practice the game because fighting games online aren't very good. So the only way I'd actually practice is if I had friends or like go to constant locals. And my locals were like $20 to get in, which were kind of ridiculous.
For a local, yeah, that seems.
Yeah. And then I only really would do like 3 rounds and then lose. So it wasn't worth it for me in the end.
Cleffa, do you want to take the next couple of questions?
Let go back to this real quick. Okay. So you tweeted out that you like a week before the tournament that you were really grinding. How did you finalize on your if you finalized on your team actually? Sometimes I go into a tournament and I'm like, this is what we're going with. So how did you know that this is possibly the 6 or the 6 that you definitely wanted to bring?
Well, I actually built the team Thursday night going into the tournament. I ended up I had a completely different concept. Lapras wasn't even in the builder at all. I had Primarina actually. I like the idea of Raichu and Primarina. I think those two were a good idea because I personally think Primarina is the best Pokemon or best water type at least in the format, because of how strong it is, and the fact that its max moves are just able to like drill through anything. Even like Moongus, for example, doesn't appreciate taking a Life Orb Max Geyser off of Hydro Cannon. And that was my intention. And then I ended up playing a team that had 4 out of 6 of what I actually brought to the tournament on the ladder. But they had they didn't have Raichu, and they didn't have Urshifu. So they had the Talonflame, the Serena, Lapras, and the Duraludon. And so I decided this team would be very good if it had Urshifu and Raichu. So I decided to throw in the builder and build my own version of it. It seemed to be working in practice. I got to top 30th, around top 30 on the Showdown ladder at the time. So I decided, okay, this is a good backup team, but I really wanted to go off my main idea. And I was actually prepping with my friend Ryan, Sableye VGC. If you guys don't know who he is, normally I prep with him. He's the guy who builds spreads. I'm not a very good spread builder, so he's been just dealing with me all week, saying I can't find a team that I like. I'm normally a defensive player. I like switching out constantly. And the Lapras team is not that, really. It's like a very hyper-aggressive team. It's not, I wouldn't say hyper-offense, I'd say bulky offense. It doesn't really switch much, so I was like, I don't know if I should use this. So we tried desperately. I just kept testing between 2 teams on Battle Stadium the night before, and around 1 a.m. I finally made the decision, you know what, I'm going to lock Lapras. I feel like this team's more consistent.
I love that it went until 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's real tournament vibes right there.
Yeah. So the morning of, which time zone are you in?
I'm in Eastern.
Okay.
So Eastern time.
So it was 10 a.m. was the tournament start time for you?
Yeah.
Not that early then.
It wasn't like as early as we had it, Jess. That was
okay.
early for us.
Yeah.
So you wake up, what kind of things do you do when you prepare for an event like this in the morning? If you have anything.
Normally I every time I wake up, the first thing I do is just get a cup of coffee and relax. Try to wake up and adjust. I planned on streaming this entire event. so I decided to get all my setup going. My setup is kind of weird. I don't really have a desk. I'm actually in my bed right now, so it's just all over my bed. Just setting it up. I was just trying to. I get really nervous. I have like a major tournament nerves. I find my stomach gets really upset. But I just decided to. Normally, what I like to do to adjust is number one, drink water. Number two, I have. I normally have like Plush that I love supporting with. I got these Duraludon here. Duraludon's one of my favorite plush of this generation specifically. My favorite being Dragapult. But yeah, there was that. I normally think in my head like which Pokemon I want to rely on. So I normally think, okay, I lead this, and if I see this, I do this. So I just like I want to hug Lapras basically, and think Lapras will carry me through all my matchups.
So, round 1 of the event, you took a loss. Your only loss of the day, but you took a loss. What kind of mentality do you go in from after taking a loss to move forward and then somehow manage to go 7-1 in an event?
So, generally, I'm gonna be honest here. I don't really have the best tournament mentality. Like, I have a very defeatist attitude. Normally my closer friends, I'd vent them. Like, they know. Like, they get full hand typing of, like, what's going on in my head. And, it's not very good. I was streaming the event, too. I didn't want to say anything that I shouldn't be, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a break. Just set the stream to my, Be Right Back screen, which is, Tapu Bulu. So, I turned that on. And I decided to, put a microwave pizza in the microwave and have that. Eat something.
Take a
just,
little break.
Refocus. And then I came back to the stream, just talked about it a little bit, and, decided we're gonna go back and we're gonna pull this back.
And an insane pullback you had.
Exactly. I was watching because I've been watching. If you guys don't know, Fiona has posted all of her rounds up on YouTube. I don't think the link will show it, but it's linked in her Twitter for the command. I was shocked watching round 1 that was your loss of the whole thing. I was like, I'd be like, we're done. I don't know what I need to do. But I was very surprised, and it was super cool that you pushed through that. And I think you said that's a hard thing for you to do, but you showcased it with that tournament.
I did just add Fiona's YouTube channel into the chat, so if anyone is interested in that, that is there now for you. Definitely check her out and support her. I think watching people's matches, especially runs like in a big tournament like that, can be really helpful. Especially if you want to beat her team when you run into it on Series 6 ladder. Because I know people were using it a lot on the online ladder after she posted that, so.
Yeah, I even lost to it, which is kind of funny. I lost her.
You lost a mirror, or did you lose playing something else?
No, I literally lost the full mirror, the full 6.
I feel like that is how it be sometimes, especially in a best of 1 scenario.
They had the same game plan as me, so it basically came down to speed ties, and they won the speed tie, so.
That RNG.
Speed ties will absolutely break your heart.
Yeah.
So after your whole tournament, what do you think? So you said you wanted to hold on to Lapras and Lapras was going to carry you. Do you feel like Lapras carried you, or did another Pokemon like shine out and just smack people, I guess?
I actually think Raichu was the MVP of the tournament because of Nuzzle. There was a lot of times on stream where I would hit their Dynamax Pokemon with a Nuzzle, and they get 1 or 2 turns of full paralysis, so they just waste their Dynamax that way. That's very satisfying to watch. Especially Hatterene, because I don't feel bad at that point, because they're trying to G-Max Smite and confuse you. So, yeah, it was really fun with Raichu, even like non-Dynamax Pokemon. It's just always good to get like a paralysis on something, and then go from there.
What's the percent that Nuzzle? What's the chance of it paralyzing the opponent? Is it 30% or?
Nuzzle paralysis 100%. So every time you use Nuzzle, you're getting that 100. You're getting that paralysis on something.
Gotcha. That is a great move on Raichu.
Yeah. It's great for fast speed control too, right? Because Raichu has a really good speed tier. So if you, and since the new Sword and Shield mechanics, you know how it changes each turn with the paralysis happening. So I could just Nuzzle something, and then Lapras will move for, like a Terrakion, for example. Terrakion's normally faster than Lapras. So I can just Nuzzle that, and then Geyser it the next turn.
Because the speed, it gets affected that turn and not next turn.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to edit the command, but I'm terrible with technology, so I'm just over here being a boomer momentarily. But you guys are doing great.
Jess, you are doing wonderful as well. What do you think was your hardest matchup for day 1, but then also day 2? If there are any like G-Max mons that were scary, or just Dynamax mons.
So my round 6, I think it was round 6, I played against Rachel and Ann with the Colossal team. Colossal's beat up team actually. So it had Sneasel, Colossal, and Cobalion.
Okay.
And both of those modes are kind of annoying to counter. Like, it's tough to counter both of them. It's all about, like, learning what the items they are. And if they have a Gastrodon in the matchup, which Rachel did not, but if they have Gastrodon, it's really frustrating because you can't Geyser freely. You kind of just have to make, like, reads each turn, and it's really rough. On my stream, I actually made a lot of reads during that match, and I think that's what won me the game. Like, I switched Serena in against Sneasel, hoping that they would fake out my things. So, that's a lot of the time what happened. Like, I wanted to prevent the fake out from happening so I can get a Tailwind off. And obviously, if they don't do that, if they go for, like, the beat up or the surf, I just lose. So, it was a lot of calls I had to make turn 1, or, like, each turn.
Oh, a lot of, like, mind games in those.
Yeah. It's basically all about getting your calls right. And it's not something I enjoy playing. I like having a consistent strategy.
Uh-huh.
But I wasn't that worried. I didn't end up playing it any other times though, so it was fine.
So it was a one time you're like, good, I didn't have to deal with that again, so.
Yeah.
Was that something you knew that was a matchup you were going to want to avoid, or was going to be a hard matchup? Or was that like an oopsie when you ran into it?
It was more of an oops. Like, after, I don't really think about Colossal in this format much, because I personally don't, like, the thing that made Colossal really good was Dragapult being super fast and being able to get those fast surfs off. You couldn't really stop it. Also, it's a ghost type, so it's immune to fake out as well. I mean, Sneasel has interference as well. But the thing is, you can probably, once you outspeed Sneasel, Colossal can't really do anything, because it won't have that surf boost. So I personally didn't think it would be that much of a thing, but I only played it once, so I guess I was right.
I think actually it was in the tournament a decent bit. I think you just managed to avoid it, which is sometimes how it goes.
Yeah. I actually did mess up my Lapras' speed EVs. I noticed in round 6, I was actually 1 point slower than Modest Colossal. So that hurt. I couldn't just go for like Tailwind and Max Geyser and just go for it then. And that's what made it kind of rough. But I ended up fixing that after the tournament. Obviously, I couldn't do it during the tournament since I was locked into it, but it happened to work out. They didn't bring the Colossal mode against me. They did bring the beat up mode. It was still difficult. Don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like fighting types in general are like very difficult to break if they have multiple fighting types. And they're adding like so much Pokemon like Ferrothorn. Like, you always have to have your Ferrothorn answer, otherwise you just lose.
Yeah, Pharaoh. Pharaoh is like that.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about your day 2. What was your worst matchup? What's some things about your day
So,
2?
my worst, I think the 2 bad matchups I had was the top 16 match against Dina. She had Gmax Hatterene, and it was a focus sash variant, so I couldn't just pick it off immediately with a Steel Spike. Um, basically, it's basically just hoping you don't get confused by the Gmax Smite, but fortunately I was able to play it so that she couldn't really max it, and I discouraged her from bringing it game 2. So I think I've just prepared for the matchup more, and that's basically how it went. I just prepared with all her stuff, and she was hoping that I wouldn't have predicted her. Like with the she had Sweet Veil Serena too, to which I obviously you only know for it. If you look in her VODs, she was streaming the event, so that helped me a lot. Knowing that it had that, I also knew the Talonflame had Quick Guard, so I didn't want to just freely fake out in front of it because I faked out in game 1. So obviously their best answer to it is going for Quick Guard, right? So I knew Nuzzle was the play there in that game, and just destroying the Urshifu turn 1. Like, I gained a lot of momentum. And the finals match was definitely the hardest matchup for sure. Like, I saw it moving through the top 8. I'm like, oh, please lose at some point. I don't want to play this. Like, Terrakion, Clefairy, and the Talonflame was Sash as well. The Hydreigon had a Salt Vest, and it had Max Quake. Terrakion also had Max Quake, and my best answer to her team is Duraludon, because she has 3 fairy types. And the thing is, Duraludon can't really do much if they get so much special defense boost with their Max Quake. So I had to be very careful of that. And game 2, I ended up having to go outside of the box and max my Serena, because I noticed that the Hydreigon was starting to get a bunch of Max Quake boosts. I'm like, why does everything have Max Quake? This is so frustrating. I was also very scared of Clefairy as well, because Sing is annoying. I don't really like playing that game. But I didn't really want to dedicate to like going for Max Lightning, as I just KO it immediately, so might as well go for that.
It's like I was trying to see your team. What were you ever afraid of Amoonguss? That is the one mon that in Series 6 I was super afraid of. So I don't know if you had like a specific way, if you saw an Amoonguss, you know what you were doing. I've been playing a different team, and like the Serena with the Sweet Veil, that's good against Amoonguss, but your Serena doesn't have that, so I don't know if you had another thing that you brought with that, or if you just like smacked the Amoonguss.
So I have like a bunch of options against the Amoonguss. I personally feel like I have 2 Pokemon that like to use Max Lightning, being Lapras and Duraludon. Like, once you get this electric terrain up, it's very tough for Amoonguss to actually do something, because all it really wants to do is Spore. And if it can't do that, then it's kind of useless. Also, Lapras threatens the knockout on it, thanks to the fact that I am the Life Orb variant. So they do have to worry about that as well. I also have Taunt, my Talonflame, in case they ever decide to lead that. Ignore my mouse in the background. But, normally against, like, Trick Room teams, for example, like Dusclops, Amoonguss, I like leading Raichu Talonflame into that, because I can just fake out the Amoonguss and taunt the Dusclops. And, then I can taunt the Redirector the next turn, and then they can't really do much. But yeah, I think I was very well prepared against Amoonguss. Also, Banded Urshifu, that can, depending on how the normal Amoonguss is trained, if it's not trained physically defensive, Wicked Blow will just destroy it in one shot.
You had mentioned that before day 2 you had watched like Dina's VODs back to see her team. In an online tournament like this, is that something that you find really helpful to try and like research the night before? Is that something you would do a lot?
Normally, I enjoy getting as much info as I can on my opponent. and seeing what I can do from there. I understand. I know I stream. I'm technically at a disadvantage because I did stream the event as well. The opponents can easily do the same thing I did. But it's always good knowing like what you're going up against. I normally like to find out. I also prepared again with Ryan or Sable IVGC. We discussed on how theorized how the matchup was going to go. And he also helped me get info on my potential other top 16 opponent. So I was prepared for both matchups.
Did you practice the night before with Ryan, or did you just go over matchups and were like, this is what could potentially happen?
Well, since we didn't really have the EV spreads, I couldn't really do much to properly prep for it. Because I've found in the past that if I'm preparing for something I don't know the EV spreads for, they can be like a totally different EV spread, and then all my prep is out the window.
You won't know
so
if
I thought
it's
it was...
gonna survive something or not.
Yeah, that was a major thing in my Players' Cup run, actually. But I didn't want to make the same mistake as that. So I decided I just wanted to theorize what would happen, and then we'll go from there on how she adapts.
So I had seen you tweet a while ago. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something with like Yveltal and Raichu. I think it was like your favorite leads or something like that. And then you also brought Raichu to the women's tournament. Do you just think Raichu is that good of a mon, or is it just you have a real soft spot in your heart for Raichu?
I think it depends on the format. Like, if you were to ask me in Series 5, I would never use Raichu, unfortunately. Because Rillaboom and Cinderace, all the sun, like, everything, it just... You're either outspeeding it in some certain way, and the Nuzzle's not very useful against it. But, other than that, I think particularly when I used it in Moon Series back in the day, I think it was really good. I think even Ultra Series, you could have a chance to use it. Raichu's actually been really known... It's had a good track record in restricted formats, I feel like. It won the World Championships in 2016. So, it's got a good track record. I think fast Fake Out and fast Nuzzle, even against like Pokemon like Xerneas. I had Encore back in the day, so if I Nuzzle it first, they go for Geomancy, and then you lock them into the Geomancy the next turn, and then they can't really do much.
Yeah, they're stuck with that Nuzzle Encore.
Yeah, and obviously with the Series 6, seeing stuff like, what's it called? Rillaboom, Cinderace, the Sun Pokemon like Venusaur and stuff like that banned. Figured it was Raichu's time. Especially since there was a lot of Dracozolt as well. Dracozolt was a very common pick, I felt like. And I thought Raichu was also gonna be very good against that, like, beside a Pokemon that threatens it, like a Primarina or a Lapras. Because if they're not hitting you with an electric move, like, they can't really do anything.
You had tweeted, again, lots of wonderful information on your Twitter. If you type !Fiona, you guys can see she has a lot of thoughts about her Women's Cup run there too as well. But Arcanine was used number 1, and you didn't hit it in all 12 rounds. Would it have been an issue for you if you did hit it? Or was that just like a fun, like, you missed it?
Honestly, I was hoping to play it,
to
be honest, because Banded Urshifu, if they try to intimidate you, they can't really intimidate Urshifu because the critical hits ignore the fact that your attack stat is dropped. So, and you outspeed them, so you just go for Wicked Blow and rip right through the Arcanine. They have to be really bulky in order to survive. So normally the Arcanine's opt to go for like fast because they want to outspeed Porygon Z. So generally you're safe to fire off a Wicked Blow and KO them. I also have a Lapras as well. So if I try to get up Tailwind and do it that way, there's not really much Arcanine can do.
You just wanted to smack Arcanines this whole tournament.
Yeah, and I didn't get to play any.
So for the Urshifu, I just actually realized it's the dark fighting one. Did you try the water one or no?
So I tried the water one in Series 5, I didn't like it because I personally felt that the rapid, like the what's the move? Surging strikes. I didn't like the fact that since it's a multi-hit move, each attack has like a different damage output, so each turn will be a different roll, and that's very crucial. You can miss KOs that way because you low rolled the hit, or you low rolled the third hit and you didn't get the KO, and then you lose the game in that way. Also, you can proc berries that way, which is very annoying because since you're hitting them multiple times. Once you hit them in like the second hit, all of a sudden they have a berry, they heal back up, and then they live. And then like against Incineroar can actually live a rapid strike. Surging strikes.
If it's got a berry.
Yeah, and that's pretty big. But yeah, that's I liked Wicked Blow on Urshifu because you never have to worry about those rolls, and it's just a fixed basically 120 damage move because it's critical hitting all the time. So yeah, I even used it in Series 5 as well, even with Togekiss being around. People argued that you want to use the other one because of the fact that Urshifu is 4 times weak to Fairy, the Dark one is, and you just lose to Togekiss. But the Water one's not going to appreciate Togekiss either. You just get destroyed by the Togekiss because your special defense isn't very good, and then you also lose to Rillaboom with a Grassy Glide. So, well, the Dark one doesn't.
That is true.
Alright, so moving a little bit away from the women's tournament, because you are obviously a very competitive player outside of just this online sphere, but we are now in a pandemic, so that's not exactly an option. What was your favorite? I know you got top 16 of, was it Collinsville?
Yeah.
I thought I had added it to the overlay, and it is apparently not there. But she also got top 16. That's a thing. Is Collinsville a very special regional to you? I know a lot of people do not like Collinsville. Or what has been your favorite event? And is it only based off of your outcome, or do the friends play a part in that as well?
Question, honestly. I've had a lot of very good events. There's a lot of them that stand out. I like going to Collinsville regionals every year because I felt I did good. Obviously, I didn't enjoy going to Collinsville 2018 because I had to ride there with a 9-year-old whining kid in the back, and and it was a 12-hour drive, so that was not fun. So I was very happy to be with my friends. What was I gonna say? And then 2019, I actually got to go with basically Ryan and I built a team. This is Ryan's second regional outside of Canada, so it was fun to go that way. We heavily prepped for that regional. He actually cut the regional, believe it or not. With the Raichu Yveltal team that I was talking about. I got top 16 and he got top 8, and that team was very good. I think that's probably my favorite team of all time. Those events were very good. So, my first Worlds 2018 is very close to me too. Because it was my first event, first World Championship I was able to compete at. Just lining up for the Pokemon Center. I'm a big fan of Plush. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but big fan of Plush. So I was there early, lining up for the Pokemon Center. That was 2 hours before. Major lineup. So if you're trying to get to the Pokemon Center at Worlds, you gotta line up 2 hours early.
It's an early lineup.
Yeah. 2019 Worlds, the lineup was so far back, it was outside of the convention center.
Oh, going around the building. I was in that line.
And I guess the other event that stands out to me is 2018 US Nationals, because that was the first event I did really well in. I made day 2 in that event. Well, I know I finished X3, and there was only 2 X3s that could have made it, but I started 5-0 that tournament, and I played really good players along the way, like Jamie Boyd. I played James Bake. I also played Nails being Nick Navarre. Just basically very tough opponents. I also played Brennan Zhang as well. Brennan Zhang was fun too. After I also played Alessio Yuri Bichetto. I played him around. That's what started my losing streak. Unfortunately, I missed a Moonblast after I got hit with a Muddy Water accuracy drop and lost the set that way. But yeah. Then I went from 5-0 to 5-3. So like, it's a bit mixed on my mentality and like luck. That was very upsetting. I almost wanted to drop from that tournament before going into the last round. Like once I hit X3, I was like, I don't need the points. I already qualified for Worlds, so there's really no point because I figured I wasn't gonna get day 2. A lot of my friends convinced me to stay in the tournament, so I decided to just stay. I played Jamie Boyd round 9, and I ended up beating him. And then I managed to cut that tournament somehow at the highest X3.
I think it's that lineup. That's whew, I'd be tired after round 2 after that.
Yeah, I got to use Nido Queen that tournament, and that was really fun.
And you said that was in 2018? Okay.
Yeah.
So is preparing for an internet for you any different than preparing for a regional? Because they're much larger.
I would say they're around the same. I'm obviously they're much larger. I would say they're around the same preparation. Normally there is ways I could have improved my prep. Like I could have been prepped for matchup specific stuff, like and ask more people if they're good on the matchup to prepare against those. But yeah, that's probably a big weakness. I think I had that going into Worlds as well. Once Worlds in 19. Basically, once Ray Ogre won the U.S. Nationals, it was all over the ladder, and my main prep was the ladder. So I was literally playing only against Ray Ogre, and I was beating him every single time. Like my matchup was so good against that, and then I spent so much time prepping for Ray Ogre, I didn't prep against anything else, and I didn't play any Ray. Oh, I played one. I played one Ray Ogre and I beat it, but. I played no other Ray Ogres outside of that, and I was just staring at. I see Lunala Xerneas in team preview. I'm staring at the thing like, what do I even do?
You're like, I didn't know this would be brought. Where's the Ray Ogres?
Yeah. Is that a common occurrence before a big event? Something wins an event prior and it's all over ladder and it's harder to test via ladder?
Yeah, that's normally what it is, I find. So generally you want to, as I learned after that, you want to talk to people who prepared the matchup. I normally prep with Ryan as well. He likes to make a Google Docs for it on like our lettering session. And we save replays that we lose. So we can go over them later and talk about the matchup. And I was actually doing that for Toronto regionals this year, and then the pandemic happened right before the regional. Literally, I was on my way there, and the regional's canceled.
Yeah,
it's a big rip.
They waited so long to like announce they were canceling it. People got all the way to Toronto in their hotels, and then they're like, "Oh, by the way, this isn't happening now."
Yep, hurts. I mean, at least I'm in Canada, so I only live like half an hour away from it, so it's not a big loss.
Alright, I am gonna start, if chat, I know I haven't been really talking to you guys, but if anybody has any questions, you can start sending them now, to ask Miss Fiona. And Fiona, if there's anything that you just want to talk about, as a woman in Pokemon as well, like, feel free, the world here is your oyster. Just so you know, as we're getting used to figuring out what kind of questions to ask us, you are more than welcome.
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about the fact that the women's tournament itself was really important to me. Like I think I tried more in this tournament than I did for World, which is kind of wild. But I really wanted to like put myself on the map of like being one of the best girls to be playing VGC, and I mean, winning this means a lot to me because like the best. I've never cut anything other than that one national that I happened to get the highest seed of X3 at, which I don't know. I find that to be kind of like a fluke in a way. So basically, this was really big for me. I never felt that I was that good because I could never really cut an event. Um, and just like playing against all these women, I was so happy that 177, I think, women were in the tournament. Like that's insane. That's like nearly regional sized. In fact, that's definitely more people than World's Ultra Series. Like people are like 60 people or 30 people were at those regionals.
Yeah.
So having 177 was amazing. And it's also great because normally my friend group is a bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm normally talking to guys most of the time. So it was great to like meet some other girls in the community. I didn't actually think there was that many people who played like the competitive side. I knew girls play Pokemon, of course, like, but like I didn't know how many were into the competitive side, like seriously, other than like playing with their favorites or stuff like that.
I think it's a little bit hard. Like, there's obviously a large VGC Twitter community, but a lot of the girls are not as, like, pushed out there or, like, large, so it can be hard to find each other.
Yeah.
So an event like this, like, the whole Discord server is huge, and it's still active, so.
It's awesome. I love being in that Discord server, too. Like, just talking in general, it's fun. It was also great seeing like all the countries from like we got people from like China, Japan, people playing at like 3 a.m., which I can't imagine. That was probably very draining for them.
Yeah. I didn't realize, like, I knew that like places like Australia have a huge time difference, but I don't know if you know like Kiki the Junior.
Mm-hmm.
She was playing at 10 p.m.
Oh.
That's when it started for her, and she's 8, and I was like, I was complaining about being up at 7 a.m. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, that's like normal regional time too. Like when you are at a regional, if you're like at a hotel any amount of distance, you're up and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and she managed to cut that event too, which is incredible.
Yeah. I think her
I
mom
ended up playing
cut.
her in top 8, so yeah.
Her mom cut. She did not. I don't think, if I remember correctly.
Really?
I might be wrong.
I thought it was just both of them playing on the cartridge because it was under Tanya's name.
I think Kiki was playing under Kiara. And
oh,
because my sister actually played her mom round 1, and they like DM'd me and they're like, "Is your sister playing?" And I was like, "Yes." But that's still insane that her mom even like I don't know how much her mom like plays outside of like just supporting Kiki, so that's like a huge deal.
Yeah, when I was talking to her mom after I played, I was actually playing her, Kiki, herself. Even under Tanya's cartridge. I was confirming for sure that it was her. And I got to talk to her mom a bit. And apparently she was very nervous. And I was nervous too, trust me. I always have nerves. But it's very sweet that she was able to play. I was very happy to play her, honestly, because I think she played really well for how old she is. I think she played that very well.
Is there anybody else that you like know that you like played them and you like were going into it and you knew who they were?
Nobody else that I played against. Okay, well I knew who Rachel Anand was. I didn't know her from a personal level, but I knew who she was. And that was round 6 with the Colossal. I knew who she was. I didn't know her at a personal level. I don't think I knew anybody. I'm trying to remember. Oh no, I knew Dina in top 16. In top 16, I knew Dina.
Okay.
So it was fun to go against her. She's a friend of mine as well.
We did get, Slim wants to know what's the hardest thing you've had to learn to get accustomed to playing Pokemon?
Interesting question.
Thank you, Slim.
I think the toughest thing for me was like transitioning from singles to doubles. Like, it's a completely different metagame. Like, it's like I was playing Smogon singles just for what it's worth, not the battle ones, but having having one Pokemon on the field to having two Pokemon on the field is like completely different. It makes the games a lot more fast paced, and I think that's what kept me into it. Whereas singles, matches can get really drawn out. Like, it's a lot of switching involved, a lot of setting up like your hazards, or like controlling them with a defog and rapid spin. Basically getting into VGC, like learning when to protect and when not to protect, or like learning item choices. Team building was fun for me in the beginning, I felt like, but as the years go on, I feel like it's very difficult when I have an idea and it doesn't work, and that's very difficult for me. And there's a lot of times where I just like want to give up. Like, I want to like take somebody else's team at the end, but I don't like taking people's team. I like making my own thing. So yeah, that's a main thing for me. Like, team building was fun, and then it got a little bit tougher when things didn't work.
I feel that I'm terrible at team building, but I feel like you learn as you go, but then it also gets harder because then you're like, wait, if I do this, if I have exactly this many EVs, I will live this, but then you don't know if you're gonna live something else, and it just
Big
Yeah,
Down
I was
Under.
never good with spreads.
Oh yeah, that is one thing that like I think is really hard for someone to learn coming into the game is spreads. Because some people are just like, just do 2-5-2, 2-5-2-4 all the way across, but a lot of times you can't just do that.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think it's that. There's very, very rare occasions where that's optimal. Like, there's only one team I think that had really good. It was a really good team, and it had all 252 spreads. That was the only team I bought. It was a hyper offensive team, of course. But if you're going for like a more defensive team, which is traditionally what teams do well, or like they have a bit of offense, like not full like defense, but like, you know, they have offensive Pokemon in it, but then they have a few defensive ones. You generally want to have bulk in those, or even like offensive sweepers. If you can EV to survive something, then it might be worth going for the little bit of bulk and then sacrificing a bit of attack or speed.
Big Down
spreads
Under
are tricky.
said no
Yeah.
lunch breaks, but there was time, like, once your rounds finished, since there were so many people, like, Fiona had said that she ate in between round 1 and round 2. I definitely fed myself in between rounds, so there wasn't, like, a designated lunch break, but we did have that. And then another question, Sam said, if someone wants to start VGC, what would be your best advice?
I think my best advice for people who want to get into VGC is to basically look at what's doing well. Don't take their team, but like look at what's doing well, come up with an idea, and go from there. I find like a lot of my successful teams, I get inspired by people who use something else, or I take their idea and expand on it in my own way. If you're just getting in, you maybe want to learn like how certain teams work. Maybe take a few sample teams, and then see, oh, I could probably make this team better if I do this or add this Pokemon. I think that rental teams are like great resources, like Victory Road and such like those. Those are great for beginners. For example, for this format, I'll give you an example of the Trick Room teams or Porygon Z teams. Those are very easy to play for beginners, where it's just like your main goal is either get Trick Room up or your main goal is KO everything with Porygon Z.
Jess knows that.
I do know that Porygon Z go burr.
Yeah.
Big Down Under says, how many hours of practice do you put in for upcoming events, and how do you prepare?
How many hours? Oh, a lot. Okay, basically, for upcoming events, generally think about, okay, what the format is, and I have a general game plan, and then I normally build most of my teams with Ryan. Obviously, you can build by yourself as well. You don't need a team building partner to do well. I built my 2018 national teams by myself. So basically, you just want to I just spend a lot of time taking an idea, figuring out what works, what doesn't, deleting what doesn't, and then going from there. Building with Ryan's helped me a lot to learn like better prep ethic, like the fact that he makes a Google Doc to save all of our replays and what teams we play against or what our weak matchups are. That was pretty nice. I don't think you need to do that, but if it's depending on what kind of person you are and how you learn, it can be very helpful. Normally I just work on Showdown though. Like I find like if you can win some games repeatedly on the ladder and like you could find out, oh okay, how is the team functioning, and what am I bringing, what am I not bringing, and trimming the fat from there basically. Normally that's how you find success in your team.
So I'm assuming. Oh, go ahead, Cleffa.
No, I was just saying that's fair. I don't know how. If you had to put like clock in and clock out of how many hours, I feel like that'd just be a lot. a lot of practice, a lot of theory, a lot of testing, and just it's a lot of different components to practicing.
Yeah.
I feel like laddering. Go ahead.
Especially specifically for this tournament, I feel like I got the team Thursday, right? Like I didn't practice as much as I intended, which kind of helped in a way because it mitigated the fact that I don't have any auto loss matchups. Because normally in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I lose to this. I hope I don't run into it. And it's like, first thing I go against is that. And it's like, really? But yeah. Sorry, you can go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I haven't played on Showdown that much because I'm a bad Pokemon player and I should accept Showdown into my heart. But I think Showdown on laddering isn't as long, but Showdown or like laddering on cart adds so many more hours to like the amount of time you're spending. It is.
I actually want to talk about that. I don't normally like seriously practicing on Showdown. I normally like practicing if I'm like trying to build the team, getting some quick games and then getting some fast data that way. I only try to build the team in the cartridge if it's working. But if the team is working, I immediately go to a battle spot laddering, and I find I learn a lot more that way. Because for some reason, I'm able to focus more on cartridge. Whereas on Showdown, I'm like, skip turn. And, yeah, it's basically... Also, rolls are really weird on Showdown, too. Like, I find, like, all of a sudden the message would say, this Pokemon took 68 to 80%, and it's like, which one was it? This is a big, important roll.
Slim said, as a VGC player, we take losses all the time, but what are some losses that have stuck with you?
So, in US Nationals 2018, I ended up playing my match on stream. It was basically an elimination match, like since I finished into day 2 as an X3. Once you go X4, you're basically out of it you cannot qualify for top 8. So, I ended up playing my match on stream there. I got a bit of inside info. And I was playing well for most part. I went to game 3, and I was in the position I wanted. And if I had Incineroar and Nidoqueen on the field, versus a Tapu Lele and a Nihilego on the field. And it was in misty terrain, so I can fake out. And this Lele is Choice Scarf, so there's no ally switch shenanigans I need to worry about. All I have to do is just click Fake Out Sludge Bomb into this Tapu Lele, and I win the game, because Nihilego can't do anything to me. And then my brain decides, mid-turn, But what if I KO Nihilego and the Lele is locked into Psychic, and it can't beat my Incineroar? And that thought process is not valid because the Nihilego could just protect, and it did, and that's how I lost. If I just clicked Fake Out and Sledge Bomb, I would have won. And that loss, and it was on stream too. I was rewatching the people in the chat, and they're like, "Wow, this person's so bad. No wonder they went X3." And I'm just like, "Yeah, that hurt a lot." It hurt. That was one of the biggest losses I felt. It was just like, oh, if I just click this, why did my brain decide to make a bad thought process? That's the loss that sticks out to me the most.
Going off on that, so you said you went to go look at the chat comments because it was streamed. Do you feel that's helpful for you? Do you think that people need to not, I don't want to say assume things, but not just be like, oh, this person sucks or whatever? Because I know there are a lot of women in the community, when they're on stream, chat is not the nicest to them.
Yeah. I think it depends what kind of person you are. If you're a very sensitive person, I highly recommend you don't go back and watch your stream game. Unless maybe you win the game, and I guess you could go back and look at it. But people are really mean, and they don't understand. There's a lot of people in the chat that are like, they don't know the game at all. And people are like saying, well, what if I did this? You would have won the game. It's like, you're not there. You're not in person. You're sitting in your room and you're typing on Twitch. Like, you don't feel like the atmosphere at events is like completely different. Like, you got a lot of nerves in your head and you're thinking so much. Like, since Pokemon's like a very it's a thinking based game, right? Like, you need to have your mind clear on what your game plan is. And obviously this can be like, depending on where you are in tournament wise or what you're worried about facing, your thought process can change. So that's basically what I would I would say to those people that say that I made the bad play. But
was that your first time on stream, or have you been on stream at events before?
I've actually been on stream that same year at the Toronto Regionals 2018. Still have not won on stream yet, by the way, on our official stream. I lost to a James Bake on stream. I won game 1. And then he adapted very well, and he was able to beat me with their Azumarill Clefairy that year. And there wasn't really much I could have done. But yeah, that was the other time I went on stream.
Alright. If you have any other questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Or otherwise, we are going to start to wrap this up. Thank you very much, Fiona, for being our first guest and also sitting through the technical difficulties. I apologize, but I'm really appreciative.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm really happy that you guys are doing these podcasts, like the all-woman podcast. Like, I think it's great. Like, highlighting all of our women in the community. I feel like there's so many more I didn't know about until this tournament happened. And you giving them a platform to just, like, talk about, like, how they feel in VGC. Like, I think it's great.
If we said this, but congrats on winning.
Yes,
I don't know if we said that at all.
We didn't say that, but congratulations. I know you said this was very important to you, so I'm glad to know that it also meant a lot. On top of just being an amazing accomplishment, I'm glad that it is something special for you.
That you shall have.
Yeah, it's really weird seeing all these people like supporting me, because I'm normally used to people cheering against me. There's not many people I felt out there that were like, cheering for me. I never really had too many friends in the community, I would say. So, like, seeing all this support it means a lot. My phone was literally blowing up. I woke up multiple times on, like, the Sunday night after I won the tournament. Because Twitter would just keep going and going and going because of like and notifications and all those followers I was gaining. But yeah.
But well, at least you have 2 new friends and 2 new fans and us.
Yes,
I know.
absolutely.
At least for me, it can be scary to like meet people on Twitter.com. So that you have us now. I'm not great at team building, but I love to chat. So
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. It's always great chatting to people, especially like people, other girls. Like as I've explained, I don't have that many girlfriends. I only have really guy friends.
okay, I think that wraps it up. I don't know how to do an outro, but I guess that is the end of our first podcast. Hello, Pokesport Podcast. You came in right at the end, so I apologize. But thank you to everyone for being here. My co-host, Cleffa, I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
Oh, I'm not good at outros. I appreciate everyone who is chilling here, listening with the questions. It means a lot, and I can't wait to see how this goes. And huge thanks to Fiona for being part of this. I think it's exciting.
All right. I guess I'm gonna say that I'm hitting the end stream button. Thank you, everybody. Good night.